Hello everyone, I am JVN Dr. Muhammad Miraj Alam, Assistant Professor of Economics, Jyoti Vidyapeeth Women's University, Jaipur. In this session of video, I will discuss about the crisis before the economic reform in India. This is the part of Indian economy, a paper which taught in the BA B.Ed second semester student. Uh, as we all know that in India, especially in 1991, if we look into the economic perspective, it was a historic year in terms of economy, right? Before in 1991, there were major changes take place in the economic structure of the country and economic policies of the country, right? So in this lecture, as I told you, I will discuss first the economic crisis before economic reform in India, right? As we all know that India, India was a mixed economy. In fact, is a mixed economy. Okay, which means coexistence of both public and private sector. Okay, in the public sector, there are a large number of big companies were under the control were under the control of government. Okay, uh, but most of the country companies or corporations were you know underperformance. All these reasons were forced to Indian government to uh, reform the Indian economy. Okay, uh, the reform of Indian economy not comes very, uh, you know, uh, it was a long-term process. It was long-waited process in the Indian economy. Okay, there were some crises which leads to Indian government to reform their economy in 1991. So in this lecture, I will discuss specifically what was the crisis of the government or the economy which forced the Indian government and policy thinkers to reform in the economy, right? In 1991, India met with an economic crisis relating to its external debt, right? As I told you that India was facing a huge crisis, external and internal as well, uh, met with the economic crisis relating to its external debt. The government was not able to make repayment on its borrowing from the abroad. The government were importing oils and some other imported items which we have to pay in terms of foreign exchange, right? The crisis was so much that government even not able to pay the imports, right? Debt taken to the other country and other financial institutions for survival of the economy. Government were not able to pay their loans, okay, borrowing from abroad. Foreign exchange reserve, right? As I told you that the government was not able to make repayment on its borrowing from abroad foreign exchange reserve, right? Which we generally maintain to import petrol and other important items, dropped to levels that we are not sufficient for even a fortnight, right? The crisis was so deep, the foreign exchange crisis was so deep that we were not able to pay the imports of oil and other imported items for a few days, for a few weeks. That was the seriousness of the crisis. The crisis was further compounded by rising prices of essential goods. In the one hand, there was a huge foreign exchange crisis, and the other hand, there was a high inflation in the essential goods. All these led the government to introduce new set of economic uh, new set of policies, right? Policy measures which change the direction of our development strategies, right? In this session of video, we will look at the background of these crises. Okay, measures that the government has adopted and their impact on various sectors of the economy. Okay, let's look the background. What was the background of the crisis? The origin of the financial crisis can be traced from the inefficient management of the Indian economy in the 1980s. As I told you that India is a mixed economy, but most of the strategic sectors, which was prerequisite for development of any economy of the world, were under the hand of the government. But the managers of the enterprises or institutions were so efficient, even they could not run properly these institutions or industries. We know that for implementing various policies and its general administration, the government generates fund from various sources such as taxation, running of public sector enterprises, etc. When expenditure more than income, the government borrow to finance the deficit from bank and also from people within the country and from international financial institutions. There are two most important component of any government or any economy, that is income and expenditure, right? We oftenly discuss about the budget which every year present in the parliament in the starting of the financial year. What budget constitutes? Budget constitutes two important part. One is the income of the government, another is the expenditure, right? Usually, where income and expenditure are equal, we used to call it balanced budget. But when expenditure is more than the income, it is known as deficit. Okay, and these deficit of the budget can be met by from the borrowing from the within the country or outside the country. Even sometimes it's outside the country, right? From the banks, from the individual investors, and some other financial institutions. When we import goods like petroleum, we pay in dollars, which we earn from our export, right? Development policies required that even though the revenues were very low, the government had to overshoot its revenue to meet problems like unemployment, poverty, and population explosion, right? The continued spending on various development programs of the government did not generate additional revenue. Moreover, the government was not able to generate sufficiently from internal sources such as taxation. As we all know that taxation is the biggest source of revenue for government in any country, in India as well. As we all know that there are different type of taxes. Broadly, we divide taxes into two parts. One is the direct taxes, another is indirect taxes. Direct tax include income tax, corporate tax, and uh, many other tax. And the indirect taxes was GST, sale tax, and uh, GST and uh, corp, uh, custom duties, tariffs. All these are the indirect taxes. Okay, these were the sources of government income. But in the case of India, it was The generation of taxes was not sufficient to fulfill the requirement of government needs, to fulfill the requirement. When the government was spending a large share of its income on areas which do not provide immediate returns, such as the social sector and the defense, there was a need to utilize the rest of its revenue in a highly efficient manner. Right? The income from the public sector undertaking was also not very high to meet the growing expenditure. At times, our foreign exchange borrow from the other countries and international financial institutions was spent on the meeting consumption needs. Neither was an attempt made to reduce such profligate, profligate spending, nor sufficient attention was given to boost export to pay for the growing imports. In the late 1980s, to exceed its revenue by such large margins that meeting the expenditure through borrowing became sustainable. Prices of many essential goods rose sharply. Imports grew at a very high rate without matching growth of exports. As pointed out earlier, foreign exchange reserve declined to a level that was not adequate to finance imports for more than 2 weeks. There was also not sufficient foreign exchange to pay the interest that needs to be paid to the international lenders. Right? Also, no country or international funder was willing to lend India. You can imagine situation where we have only a foreign reserve to pay our most important import, that is energy, that is petroleum, for 2 weeks only. And we have already taken so much loans from the different development organizations, different developed countries of the world. We were not able to even pay their rate of interest. What was the condition of financial at that time in India? All these problems were piled up. At the time of crisis, India approached the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, which also known as IBRD, popularly known as World Bank, and the International Monetary Fund (IMF), which overlooked the financial related things in the world, and received $7 billion as a loan to manage the crisis. For availing the loans, these international agencies expected India to liberalize and open up the economy by removing restrictions on the private sector, reduce the role of government in the many areas, and remove trade restrictions between India and other countries. When India approached the World Bank and IMF, before granting $7 billion as a loan to India, both the institutions laid the condition in front of India to accept it. India has had convinced to liberalize their economy, to open up their economy for the world of investors and for the world market. None other option were available for India at that time, except accepting the conditions of loans which was given by International Monetary Fund or World Bank in the form of $7 billion to meet the urgent need of financial crisis and to pay the import bills for the most important commodity that was the petroleum product and to pay the interest of debt of lending countries. India agreed to the conditionalities of the World Bank and IMF and announced the new economic policy, NEP, new economic policy. The new economic policy consisted of wide-ranging economic reforms. The thrust of the policy was towards creating a more competitive environment in the economy and removing the barriers to entry and the growth of the firm. This set of policies can broadly be classified into two groups: the stabilization measures and the structural reform measures. Right. Stabilization measures are short-term measures intended to correct some of the weaknesses that have developed in the balance of payment and to bringing inflation under the control. In simple words, this means that there was a need to maintain sufficient foreign exchange reserve and keep the rising prices under control. On the other hand, structural reform policies are long-term measures aimed at improving the efficiency of the economy and increasing its international competitiveness by removing the rigidities in various segments of the Indian economy. The government initiated a variety of policies which fall under three heads, such as liberalization, privatization, and globalization. This was the crisis which I have discussed in the video was led to or forced to India open their economy and reform their economy. I think this is sufficient for this video. We'll discuss more about in the next part of this video. Thank you so much for watching this video. Keep watching.